Just above average, number 27. I am here with Travis Yost, only the third person to ever see their second time on the podcast.
True story on
Yes,
that.
sir. Put that mic a little bit closer to you.
There we go.
We got to hear you. Travis Yost is a endurance athlete, also a heavy lifter as well. Travis also just became a very small percentage of people and ran a ultra marathon, 100 miles in less than 24 hours. It's fucking awesome, dude.
Yeah, it was killer, man. It was one of the hardest feats I've had to accomplish, and I credit a lot to my pacers and crew, Donald Marsh, Alicia Marsh, soon to be Alicia Marsh, Alicia Moreno, and Adrian Morales, and my best friend Tia Satterfield. They got me through it, man. It's a tough task, 100 miles, under 24 hours. I was beaten, broken, and bruised through that process. I was ready for it to be done, but it was an exciting moment, man.
That's awesome,
good,
man.
So
like, whenever you say you have pacers and stuff like that, so you have people that run with you throughout the entire thing? Well, not the entire thing, but...
So the way those races, most of them work,
Mm-hmm.
this is the first one that I've done, but I paced on this course before. You can't have a pacer till after mile 50. And I was planning on picking up Donald at 55, but I needed him at 50 because I was having a mental lapse for some reason.
How many miles are you in?
I was at mile 50.
So you're halfway?
Yeah,
man.
I was halfway, and it was hot that day. No excuses. I was a little overtrained, a little underprepared mentally for it. But he ran a solid 50 miles with me all night.
Damn.
He cruised
That's
it with
a guy
me.
right there.
Yeah, he kept it going, and then his soon-to-be wife Alicia and one of my best friends Adrian from Maryland, and then my friend Tia came later. They crewed us at there's certain aid stations they can meet you at. They had food ready. They massage your legs with a gun, whatever you need, and they got me through it, man. Like I credit them more than I do my own abilities, because if I wouldn't have had them at 70, I was pretty delirious, and Donald got me up out of the chair and was like, "Hey, man, we gotta go." And I walked a few miles and got back on my feet again.
Hell yeah, dude.
That was a tough task, but now it's the recovery process is a little bit more extensive than I thought. So
what do you mean by extensive?
I went into that race thinking I was pretty good shape when I was actually overtrained and a lot overtrained, which I always am, and I was injured. And I didn't really think I was, but I found out about mile 30 that I was having some hip issues. I ended up with a stress fracture in my femur, and it's pretty healed up now. So, but it was at the time, I didn't want to talk about it, but now it's like, oh, okay, I see what I needed to do.
Mm-hmm.
I only ran 35 trail miles to get ready for that race.
That's what you said. That's fucking insane, man.
It wasn't a smart move, but it was a learning curve. The only thing it really gave on me was my hips. They just took a toll from the off level moving and that. But it was a good time, man. Like I learned a lot about myself on that race. You go, a lot of people, they call peaks and valleys, and you'll go through highs and lows. I think I went through a low at mile 2, and like questioning all my abilities at that point. Why am I here? Because I only run the road.
Oh,
most
it's
of the time.
so early.
So it was a long day, but I didn't think I was gonna break 24. But at 93, we hit the aid station, and 94, Donald told me, he said, "We're not gonna make it unless you run." My exact words were, "Shut the fuck up! I gotta think about this." And I heard him chuckle a little bit, and he backed off, pacing behind me a little ways, and I took off at 95 and just run as hard as I could the rest of the way
5 miles.
in. Yeah, to get 17-minute buffer, I think, or something like that on there. Can't think of it off the top of my head right now. So it was a pretty good time, man. I tell everybody, man, like that's an experience, and I think if you're an endurance athlete, you got to try it.
As a feat, man, it definitely is a feat. Like, there's a lot of things that I've heard, like in this gym, that people have done, like Josh Marassi at 145 pounds, like squatted almost 600 pounds, and there's some crazy athletes in here, man. But like, I'm not endurance runner, so I don't know a whole lot about the world. But like, that to me is incredibly fucking impressive. Like, I don't know if anybody else thinks that, but like, when you put it in your head, like, what's the pace you had to do for 100 miles to do it in less than 24 hours?
So 12-minute pace. Just slightly over.
100 times, though.
Yeah. And I had some miles that were 7-minute paces, and then I had some miles that were 20 minutes.
Yeah.
It was a big learning curve. Like I said, I've been on the course several times, so I was familiar with some of what I call the terrible sections of it. And I hadn't done the beginning part, but Man, it was a mental push. You just have to take it in these little pieces, and I think that's with everything. It's like, okay, we're gonna get to this mile, to this aid station, to this spot, to this whatever. Or sometimes it's literally to, hey, we're gonna run to that tree, and then we're gonna walk a little bit, and then we're gonna run to that tree, and we're gonna walk. And that's no different than what we do in here in the gym. It's like today I'm gonna bench 135, and then I'm gonna do 140. Or whatever your goal is for that day. You just take it in these small pieces, and then it adds up into a big thing.
So like a bunch of small goals and stuff like that.
Yep.
So like you said, you have all these people that like help you out and everything like that. So like, where do you find these people? Like, where are these people at that you go through? Like, you run and you help and you train with? Because like when I've seen people around here, like around here, train like on the Bridgeport track and stuff like that. Like, you train up there sometimes too.
A little bit. Yeah.
It's very seldom. I haven't seen you up there in a while because I haven't been up there in a while. But like I don't see people train like you around here. So like,
they're here. I met these guys. This whole running thing was just a kickoff of. I wanted to get healthy, and it was just I kind of steamrolled. Like, I was a little good at it, a little natural talent at it, and a little bit of stubbornness, and that made me to where I am now. But like Donald and Alicia, I met Donald at a 10K race in 2018, I believe, at the Watersmith, and we just became friends. And then I met Alicia through him over time. My buddy Jay, he got me into a marathon that was hard to get into, the Marine Corps Marathon. And we've been best friends. And randomly met him on the internet, been best friends ever since.
Really?
Yeah, but the running group, most of these guys started out as 5Kers or a 10K or a half marathon, and then it steamrolls into something bigger and better. And then you learn little bits, but the endurance crowd of anything over a marathon is a very small world. There's not many of them, and not many people. Just for instance, Donald, I might screw this up, and he'll correct me on it later, but coming into my race, he paced a friend of his through he did like 50 miles with her, I think, or at least 30 on her 100-mile race. Then he ran a marathon, then another marathon, and then he did 50 miles with me. And then 2 weeks later, he went down and ran the JFK 50-miler for, I think, his third time with Alicia down there, back to back.
Gosh, man.
He's a savage, man. People see him, and I think they underestimate him. And I tell people all the time, I said, man, you don't want to fool with that guy when it comes to on your feet. If he says, let's go to a foot race, it's like, he'll outlast you. He may not be the fastest one of the bunch, but he's going to outlast you. He's tough.
Is he a bigger boy, or what is he?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay.
Not at all. He's probably, I say $160, $170. He's getting into weightlifting a little more now because he sees the benefits of stronger. Not as much as me or you would be, but like he sees the benefits on his knees. And,
just general strength, but
he's a savage, man. Like I look up to him a lot, man. He's there's not many people out there that do what he does, and every day he grinds outside every day. Very little treadmill miles, if at all. I don't think any this year. So if it's pouring rain down, he's running. If it's snowing, it's running. I mean, he's diehard.
Man, to have somebody like that, though, is nice. Yeah. Somebody who's like literally a ride or die. Like, because like we said this in the last podcast with Luke, like there's predator and there's prey. Like, if you don't have somebody biting your ankles all the time, you could forget sometimes. You need to push yourself. Like, there's people out there that are probably working harder than you.
There always is.
There definitely is. Yeah. But like when you don't have that surrounding you, sometimes you forget. Sometimes you get complacent. We might be moving the same weight every other week or whatever. But then you have people like that who push you in running. So like that's fantastic.
Yeah, Donald will keep me in check, man. He texts me every day a screenshot of his Garmin data, like where he ran at, and that's his way of even if I don't respond some days, that's his way of saying, hey, I did do something, and we keep each other in check that way. But he's got a 100-miler coming up. He's signing for. It's a real super hard race. It'll be this fall. He's counting on me coming down there and helping him with to get through that one. But it does take a special breed of people. You got to be very uncomfortable all the time to be good at that sport. And I heard Luke say in the podcast there, the part I got through on it, that he switched gyms from Nautilus to Hess's because it was just there wasn't the drive or the uncomfortableness. And I admire that out of someone that is barely 21 years old.
Dude, he's not even 20. I know. He's not even 21. He's 20. Dude.
They recognize that you have to be uncomfortable to grow.
Yeah, and that's what I've told. I say this all the time on a podcast, but like Luke for his age is what I wish I was at his age.
I agree.
Like that dude not only works hard, but like he studies it. He has a general plan of what he wants to do. Like when I was 20 years old, you couldn't fucking tell me that tracking numbers and eating right and supplementation was, you'll go and make me a better athlete. Be like, fuck you, I'm going to eat fucking B-dubs after this, and I'm going to deadlift tomorrow or whatever.
Yep, he's got a big future ahead of him. If
he does.
I mean,
yeah.
There's that other boy that lives in here at West Virginia too, Zach. He's young too. He might not even might be just 21. Little stout guy.
You're talking about Zach.
He's savage.
Hogshead.
Yeah.
He wrestled. I coached against him because he wrestled for South Harrison and I coached for Liberty. So I would coach against him. Dude, he's just a literal fucking tank. If he would put himself to either one, bodybuilding at a lightweight class, or two, powerlifting at a lightweight class, whew.
Yeah, he's a...
But those, like, having genetics like that, man, like, that dude is compact.
Yeah.
Like, you can't, he's got short arms, short ass legs, like, just broad ass shoulder. Dude, he's like the most compact person I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, he was screaming 315 in there, and I was spotting him there, squatting there a couple weeks ago, man. And he just was going through. I admire a guy that'll go into them forced reps, man. Those are to me where you grow at because you realize what you're made of.
Oh, for sure.
Rich Piana said it. You know, you don't start counting until it burns. You know, so you get to 9 and it ain't burning. You go to 18 maybe. You know, and or up the weight if that's the case. But man, some of those guys they grind in there. And I like that. You know, I think that's why, like we were talking before, I'm switching gyms to a big part of it is I want to be uncomfortable. I don't want to know anybody again. You know, just kind of hoodie up and grind it out and get focused again. So that's part of working out at home too. It's tough to get motivated there.
Oh, I don't doubt it, man. Dude, during COVID, like I was forced to lift at my sister. My sister and her fiance have a little bit of like a basement gym. They had like enough weight a little bit, but like uneven floors, like rusty ass bars, rusty ass weights. No, like equipment is terrible. And plus, like, I'm sitting there with rock music on, like, by myself, just trying to squat. I'm just like, you need atmosphere. You need a good vibe.
It does help. But if you can grind in those soul places like that.
Oh, good for you, man.
It's tough, man.
Yeah. If you can make that a habit.
Yeah.
Yeah, those people who lift by themselves, like, in their little garage, like, it's like you said, it's like, it's not like you said. It's like they're like one or two things. One, those people are either going to excel because they have, you know, successfully mastered hyping themselves up, you know, getting their own shit done, not caring about nobody else because nobody else in there, or two, they just won't fucking use it.
Yep.
So there's like no in between whatsoever.
Yep, I agree with that. I started all my process in that little, at my last house, it was a carport closed in, and this house is a basement.
So did you start in a gym or did you start at your house?
At my house, man.
Oh,
Didn't know anything. And
nice.
And in 2019, I think, 19, pre-COVID, my buddy Matt, he did a couple shows now, and he's like, man, you got to join a gym. He's like, if you want to get bigger, he's like, get around it. They got equipment and stuff. So and I was like, man, as much as I know now, I was like, I didn't know anything. I walked in, I was like, I don't know how to use any of these machines. And he was showing me, you know, he's like, you don't have to go off what it is. You can just use anything to make anything. And I kind of got addicted to the atmosphere, you know, but I told myself tonight as I was shoulder pressing in my basement and trying to, like you said, get hyped up or whatever, I was like, this is where I grow, though. Because if I can do some PR numbers down here in this dark, dingy basement, I was like, I'll be better than I was before.
It's a mental's game. Because you almost feel better. If I were to come out here and I would squat 500 pounds from a lot of people, it's cool. But if I were to go by myself and squat 500 pounds by myself, that's a way better accomplishment.
Agreed.
Yeah, because there's a big hump when it comes to your mental game. You know, you can either be surrounded by people and be hyped up all the time, or if you're fucking strong, like you said, have nobody around you, live with nobody, and just get your own shit done. Which, like, that's kind of what I've done for years. But I do like the atmosphere.
It is.
I like the hype.
It's fun.
It's addicting.
That's right.
Which is, you were talking about switching to Hesses just a couple minutes ago.
Yeah.
Which I think that's fucking almost smart at this point.
Yeah, there's not I'm not going to shit where I sleep. Is a good way to put it. West Virginia's been good to me, but
no, same here. I've always
it's a good place to come hang out, but it's time to find something where you can. Everybody says it. You want to be good at business, you get around good business people. You want to be a fast runner, you get around fast runners. You want to be a big lifter or get big, you get around big people.
Yeah.
And you got to put yourself in that very, very uncomfortable and starting over environment. And it'll be new to me because I'm a little, you know me as a little outgoing, but I'm a little quiet when I first get around new stuff. So
me too.
But I'm kind of looking forward to it. You know, like a whole new atmosphere, a whole new start. So
well, for sure. Like you get complacent. Well, not really complacent. You just get bored of the same thing over and over again. It's good to change it up. I've been at this gym for 6 years, but like I've said on the podcast many times before this, Like, this is the best gym around here for what I do, unfortunately. And unfortunately, there's just a million people here right now. And I know we're talking, this is going to be released next week, which is going to be January, the second week after January. But, like, it was packed way before January 1st.
Exactly
I mean, it's been for months.
November, really.
Yeah.
So.
Which sucks because it's a good gym. There's good people in there, but, like, it's too crowded. Like, they either need to get a new place or something.
Yeah, I mean, I think Harrison County in general needs a second facility, whether it be something that somebody else starts or they reopen, because it is the only true lifting gym here. You can't count Anytime, Planet, Ronan's CrossFit, and then Gorilla is more of a training facility. There's not really any kind of power. I would call it like a weightlifting, powerlifting gym, because this gym's commercialized now.
Oh, 100%.
And even you were saying the second facility, I think it'd be just the same.
It sucks.
Then the environment needs to be narrowed down. I've been talking about doing it for a long time now. It's one of them shit or get off the pot moments in my life too.
Start your own gym?
Yeah, I think me going and seeing what a real weightlifter's gym is like, a true like banging plate iron, crappy machines, gym like that might inspire me, or it'll tell me I don't want that. It'll tell me one or the other.
It's very smart on a business type thing, because because when you start your own, gym, first of all, you definitely have two people coming. It's me and Ashley, but you're not going to take a ton of business away from everybody, but I'm telling you, like, you're going to have a flood of people at first, because there's a lot of people who respect you around this area, like me, Ashley, Nate, Devin. I mean, any of the powerlifters who have talked to you or been around you will definitely go there.
Yeah, I think my thing is,
all you gotta do is hire me for $50,000.
I kind of want to see what it's all about. I've done some CrossFit now. I've experienced a commercialized gym. I worked out at my house, and I've been to some buddies that own gyms in different areas, but they're not a true iron gym like Metroflex in Texas, and stuff like that. Those places are like true on iron gyms, and I think that crowd, there's 200 people in that gym that go to this gym that would love that environment, or that are original people from West Virginia when it was where Ronan is now,
Okay.
So, but it's just one of those things where I need to figure it out on my own, I guess. What I want to do, it's a big step in life, but I enjoy this, and I don't want to make money on it. I just enjoy it too much, man.
Yeah, it'd be hard to turn what you love into what you do,
Exactly. I don't want to make it a job.
Yeah. I mean, like, if I could ever make money on, like, sponsorships or something like that from a podcast or for lifting like that, that would be ideal, obviously. But, like, I don't want it to be forced to where, like, oh, like, you have to be here between here and here, to do this and this. I don't want that in my lifting. That's, like, one of the main reasons I don't have a coach right now, because I've been just using this app. But, like, I don't want somebody to force me to do things
that you don't want to.
That I don't want to do, because I know my own body at this point. I mean, like, obviously a coach would be the best thing for me, but, like, as of right now, I'm just like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I've lifted long enough. I know what works for me, so that's what I'm going to keep doing. But anyways, so take everybody through. So you've trained for this marathon, okay? You've trained for it and everything else. You're a week before the marathon. So what day do you run?
So the most ultras or marathons are on a Saturday or Sunday.
So this is like Monday morning, Sunday morning.
I'm trying to refresh my brain right here, because I lifted and it's still kind of shot here. So we started.
You lifted the week of the ultra marathon?
Oh yeah, I never. I don't take any days off. I just go easier some than others. So I lifted clear up to Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday, I took off. I didn't run it all that week, because I fought some sickness coming into that race. Like I think it was overtraining, and I was catching the flu, and I was trying to fight that off.
There was a little something going around. It was like a little 24-hour virus going around by that time, because I got sick as well.
Because I was overthinking the whole process, which is something I normally don't do. So race on Saturday, you wake up, well, of course, normally in November, it's in the 50s outside. It woke up, I was standing outside in a t-shirt, could have run with no t-shirt on, which is terrible because you're going to be hot the whole time.
Yeah.
So I was panicking on that, because I know myself, I dehydrate pretty easy. So we went outside that morning, and I looked around at 4, and I was like, well, this is going to be different. And we had a cabin there at Ace Adventure Resort in Beckley, and you could see the starting line from where we were. And we drove down there and parked, left my truck sit down there, and one of the most emotional moments of my life was the starting and ending of that race, because I was like so nervous to start because I'd talked about it for so long of doing one, and then having a good group of people around to support me, which I really haven't had my whole life, was very emotional for me. And it was numerous times through that race I didn't know whether I wanted to cry, to fall down and quit, or move, because it was a lot of emotions go through you. But when you get to that starting line, though, you know everything, whether you're injured, not injured, ready or not ready, it's all worth it, man. And everybody there is for the same goal. Everybody's there to have fun, and you laugh and joke the whole way. You meet good people, but you take off and you run your first. I think everything's all rusty to me now. Is the first 15 miles, and I think you hit your first aid station at Concho Rim, and I felt pretty good coming into there. Felt pretty confident. I ran some solid 10-minute paces and trails, and then rolled into there and was in and out pretty quick, and then kept on going. 26 was a big accomplishment in my mind. I'd never run 26 trail miles. I have run what they call endurance races, where you loop your car and they're all on trail, but that's totally different. I thought it would equivalent over. It doesn't at all.
So, like, how many is it? All 100 miles trail?
Yeah, there was a section on Thermid where you run on a road a little bit down by the bridge, but it was only a couple miles, and then most of it was packed rail to trail. Let me rephrase that. There was a few miles of packed rail to trail. Most of it was single track, god awful, stepping over stones. The year before I ran it, the leaves were still on. We had that big rain, heavy winds, so the leaves were like a foot deep.
Oh,
and then the wind kept blowing it back over, so you couldn't see the rocks. You were stumbling, tripping.
I was going to say, like, you can just run right into a hole and just fucking.
Yeah, I broke my ankles at least 30 times.
Don't doubt it, man. Like, running with, like, because like you run through the woods, man. I mean, you got roots, rocks, holes. And if you have leaves on the ground, you have fucking nothing. You have no clue where you're stepping on.
You become. I don't know how to explain it, but like you'll step and feel it, and your ankle will start to roll, and you just pick your foot back up. It's a weird. Like, both my ankles were black and blue, but didn't hurt. It was just from flopping them side to side so much.
Yeah.
Or whatever. I really came off that race unscathed. No blisters, no chafing, no anything other than this. I had this stress fracture here I found out later on. That was it.
So you went to the doctor for that? Did they give you like any sort of...
So I got a little nervous because I think it was mile 40-ish or something. No, it would have been around 30. They hit that right on the ball. They run that massage gun up and hit it. And I was like, don't do that again. I didn't know what was wrong. And I got done with the race. The first day, they had to help me up and down because I was having a hard time getting my muscles to work, and this leg was in a lot of pain. But it was worth it. And then Donald drove me home, and I got to where I could move around up and down my house. And each day went by, I got better. But I was in here, and I was working out, and I was like, man, it just don't feel right. Like certain, like mainly walking and running or twisting was hurting, but like I could squat was good, I could deadlift was good. Everything was fine, so I was like, screw it, go to the VA and see what happens. I was talking to, there's an old guy comes in here that is one of the physical therapists up there. He said, I'll get you in and see somebody, and I got in there, and they did an MRI, and he rolled me, and he did it again, and he goes, you got like he called it a spiral fracture. It went from down the bone.
Yeah.
And he said, that's been going on a long time.
So from your hip, for the listener, it was like down from your hip bone down to your feet. Was it for your femur?
Yeah, down my femur.
Wow.
And it actually happened back in June when I used to run every day with Brian, or every Sunday we would park up at the FBI, and we'd run down to Old 50 and back. And sometimes we do that twice. And me being bigger and all that weight on that, all the weight was on that one leg. It started to hurt, and I thought it was actually my hip or my pelvis, and it was actually that femur. I actually done it then and didn't know it. And I backed off for a little while on my mileage and stuff, and it didn't bother me as much. And I thought, it's just my imagination. And then come to find out, I actually got kind of lucky, because a stress fracture can be a lot worse.
Oh yeah.
Than an actual break. And he said it was healing up, so he's like, don't do anything that hurts. Nothing seems to hurt right now. So
that's great.
I've got a couple jogs and stuff in and felt pretty good moving it around again. So it's part of the sport, man. You got to take good and the bad. And I'm not young no more.
So would you rather, because now I'm just having just a general question. So you run trail miles, so do you ever run marathons or ultra marathons or whatever on like actual pavement or anything
Yeah,
like that?
so they have. So you got the layman's term. So anything over a marathon, which is 26.2 miles, is an ultra marathon. They have
doesn't have to be a 100-miler.
Yeah. So
okay.
my target goal race that I've said for long time since I got into this whole sport was I want to run the Badwater 135. Starts in Death Valley in summertime, and you run all the way to the top of Mount McKinney or whatever. So you're at the lowest point in the U.S. and you run to the highest point in the U.S. and the hottest place in the U.S.
Oh my gosh!
So it's like it's always been a target race. Even before I knew about Goggins, I was like, just the thought of being able to do that.
Yeah.
Would be pretty badass.
Well, you got to train altitude. You got to probably do a lot of stuff.
That's a whole different
style.
Oh,
it's a whole different animal, man.
But I would probably, as bad as I hate to say this, and I might be talking out my ass, and Donald will laugh when he hears it, is I'd probably do better at that because heat don't bother me when you're moving as slow, I've realized now, and I know how to acclimate to it.
Mm-hmm.
And all the road miles I run are easy. That's all road. So
okay.
I would probably do a lot better, but you have to run literally, I watched enough videos, on the white line because your shoes will melt. It's that hot. Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's terribly hot. They have two starting times, if I remember right. They start one group at midnight, and then shortly after they start a second group. So, like, the more experienced guys, they start at a later time where it's hotter. Yeah, it's a crazy race. There's quite a few big races that are road. That one I know in particularly. I know there's Western States, which is trail. That's a target race that everybody wants to run. 100-miler. Badwater is 135 miles, and then there's the Tahoe 200 or whatever.
Oh my God, 200.
Yeah, 200 miles. That's a whole different breed. Then they got the Moab 240, and I mean, there's some big races out there. That's the biggest one there is, though.
That 135er, I mean, I think it would be. I think you could do it, but I mean, because you're talking about start at the lowest and end at the highest. So that last 30 miles, like once you pass the 100-miler range and you go to that, is it 135? That last 35 miles are going to be all altitude.
Yep.
Oh,
it's all uphill the whole way.
Oh.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's
too much for me, man.
That's probably my biggest goal race. But to get into that race, you have to first run the previous to that year, a sub 24-hour marathon or ultra marathon. My brain was fogging there. And then the race director still has to be able to put you in. I can't think of his name for the life of me right now. It's a super hard race to get into.
You kind of have to know somebody.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's one of those ones you got to be good at what you do because nobody goes there and they don't want nobody.
Well, yeah, of course, somebody will fucking die.
Yeah, it's a tough race.
So, like, you have to almost be interviewed to do something like that, or know somebody. But like, have you ever thought about? Because I know there's qualifications for like the Boston Marathon and stuff like that. You ever thought about doing that?
So yeah, that was always my original goal.
Because I'm sure you're within the pace time.
So I qualified for Boston in 2020.
Good deal.
And then COVID hit. Couldn't have it. So we ran the virtual side, which they did have, and me, Brian Ryder, James Coulter, and Matt Bayard. A few other people that had qualified. We all went to Shinston, set up a course, timing clock, and we all ran the virtual down there. I ran 2:54. I haven't been able to repeat that since. But this year, I've ran a marathon every year. Some years I ran 2 or 3. I don't know if I'm gonna this year because I was taking a step back, working on fitness and some other goals that I have. But yes, I definitely could qualify for that. That will happen, whether it be this, because it's always a year out. April's coming up. The race is in April this year, so you have to run a race before September, first weekend, before Labor Day weekend. You'll have to run a qualifying race to get there. It's super tough. It's age-based. For me to get in, I have to run 3:05 or faster, which is not easy. And they always take time off. So if your time's 3:05, they take the last couple years they haven't, but they usually shave off a couple more minutes.
Oh, okay.
So the year I got in, I ran a 3:01 or whatever. But when I turn 40, it gets easy, but I'm not using that excuse because my time will go to a 3:10, which I could do that all day long. I've done that numerous times, but that's still not my goal. My marathon time goal is I want to break 2:50.
Yeah.
That's like my buddy Brian, he should be in shape to do that this year. I hope he does. He's going to Boston this year. He should be able to easily do that with the time he runs.
For the people who are listening to this, 2:50 means 2 hours and 50 minutes. 3:10 is 3 hours and 50 minutes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, It's like also an age qualification as well. So like once you hit 40, it's a little bit easier. So it's kind of like powerlifting, because powerlifting, when you turn 35, you're in the submaster division.
Yep, that's what happens to me when I turn 40. I'll go into a early masters division right there. And,
submaster, probably like powerlifting.
So things get a lot easier. If you're 35 to 39, I have to run a 3 hours 5 minute to get in, which is just retarded. It's not easy. It's just. Everything on when you come to running is just that day based. The weather, are you feeling good? Did you eat right? Did you train? Did you overtrain? Did you undertrain? Everything comes into effect, and in some days you got it, and some days you don't.
Yeah.
And I had it every race I ever ran up until the last couple. I always PR'd on the marathon distance, and the last couple I think was more of a mental game than it was anything. I could blame it on the weather. I could blame it on whatever, but I think I mentally fatigued more than I did anything else. I would just be honest with everybody, because physically I was in the shape I needed to be in, but mentally I think I was just exhausted.
Well, you're doing some stuff for that right now, because you're posting videos every single morning.
Yep.
By the way, follows Travis at travis.yost on Instagram. You, like every single day you're posting videos of ice baths and stuff like that, which by the way, kudos to you. That's something I always wanted to do, but one, I don't have a steel trough. Two, I don't want to fucking do it. Three, I've been trying to do cold showers again, but the ice bath every single morning was something I was really interested in, because it's something that a lot of these, I know everybody's fucking, up Joe Rogan's ass, but he's fucking jacked for 55 years old, and Mark Bell's the same way, ice bath every single morning, his entire crew. So I mean, like, this stuff, some elite people are doing it, but how do you feel when you do a cold plunge every single morning?
So I was doing it in my basement, in the warmth of my house, even though I would ice that trough down, and even naturally the trough would just stay 50 degrees in my basement. First off, let's start over. The trough, I just found out this the other day, on Amazon you can buy a 100-gallon Rubbermaid trough like I bought that was $99 at Tractor Supply for $22 and shipped to your house for free.
Oh, okay. I might just do that.
So that's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But I see why everybody puts those cold plunges outside, because if it's super hot out and you got to get in something super cold, that sucks. Or if it's super cold out and you got to get in that super cold, it's stupid. Woo! It's awful. But I'll get to the other part of that. But what I have noticed is I used to get up every morning and do a little workout before I went to work when I first started this, and I felt like I was mentally stronger then.
Yeah.
So now I hate treadmills. Absolute passion. There's nothing more than in this world than I hate that thing. So I get up every morning. I run 3.1 miles on it every morning. I run right upstairs while I'm super hot, run out on my back porch, and jump in that cold plunge for 3 minutes at the bare minimum. If the water's a little warmer because of the weather, because I'm not icing it right this time of year. Like this morning, the water was 22. A couple days before that, I was in the 50s because it was warmer out.
Well, you get water. I mean, it's 30 degrees outside now. So,
but just the thought of still getting in there at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning is
for sure
not fun at all. I dread it every time, but when I get out, though, I feel better.
You got mental clarity.
Yeah,
because you went through something.
Yeah, I like the challenge of the first thing in the morning, and no matter how tired I am, I don't skip those two things. I've been doing it for 3 weeks in the morning now, and I feel a lot better. And I feel, even if those paces are slow, and even if I'm sluggish sitting down in that water, it still is an accomplishment. But back to the water thing, though. When it's super cold out, let me just tell everybody, it's a mind fuck. So when it was below zero, wind chilled those days, I said, I'm getting in that no matter what.
Yeah.
Just to tell myself I tried something I wouldn't. It's actually easier. And I'll tell you why. Because the wind chill has it below zero. The water isn't frozen. It's above 32. So, or say 28 to 32.
Oh,
so the water actually felt warmer. If you watch the video, I'm tucking my face because the wind was hitting me. It's a lot easier than you think. The worst is when it's 32 and 32 because you're in and out and it's the same and it feels the same and it feels awful. I hate it when it's not frozen. I'd rather the water be frozen.
So when it's below temperature, you would almost rather just staying out there naked for a couple minutes.
It's worse. If you noticed, I went out with a robe on, and I did that because I wore shoes then too, because I don't like wearing the shoes in there. I have like rafting shoes. They don't help you a lot, but to me it's cheating. But my feet froze to the deck one time, and I was like,
"Oh shit!" And
it didn't bother me, but I was like, "Oh, that feels weird." And I was like, "I'm not doing that again." I I was like, so I put those shoes on if I know that's going to happen. That's the only when we had those negative chills.
Yeah.
And that thing froze 2 inches in one night.
I know. I saw you
I took a
beating
chainsaw
it with
and cut out.
Yeah, I saw you. Yeah, with a fucking
But
chainsaw.
it wasn't as bad. I actually prefer it to be like that. This morning when I got in there was worse. And no, I know everybody says I get messages.
It's about 40
from people.
degrees.
Yeah, the water was pretty cold this morning, but it just felt miserable to me when it's like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't put my arms in a lot of times, and there's a reason behind that. Because I sit in there. Sometimes you'll get in there and you'll get in a zone, and you don't realize how long you can sit in there, because you get adapted to it. I had my arms in there one time. I couldn't get out. My arms went numb, and I was having a hard time pushing out.
Oh,
and so
shit.
if I think I'm gonna have a problem like that, there's a lot of times I put my arms in, and I'm good with it if they're really sore or something. But most time I leave them out because that scared me pretty good. I sat there for like 20 minutes one time, and I was like, not a good choice. Not a good choice.
They're gonna find you 100 years later in like an ice cube.
But it's amazing though how you adapt to that though. Like it's still miserable, but when I first got in, the constriction of your blood vessels made your feet and your arms and everything would hurt from that super cold. But now I get in there and I'm like, oh, that's nothing. It's like, okay, it's just cold.
But
it's
like,
oh, that sucks.
oh God, how like your skin fucking freeze too. You're gonna Han Solo yourself.
No,
Jesus.
it's not that bad. Like even with those negative wind chills, you got a little bit like that. One day I got out and I was filming. I was like, oh, I just flash froze. I was like, that's kind of cool. But I put that robe on, and I like to get out. And if I'm going to work, I wait 5 minutes minimum of warming up slow because my body's naturally burning fuel to burn body fat.
Yeah.
On the weekends or days that I don't have to be to work as quick or whatever, I just naturally warm up. So I don't care if I was in there and I'm beat red. When I get out, I'll stand around and I'll eat something or whatever, and then I'll warm up slow.
Yeah.
And I actually feel better when I do that. I don't like jumping right in the shower, even after 5 minutes. Not so much the tingling sensation. It's just like I feel like I'm cheating myself. I'm like, oh, this sucks. Because that's why everybody says sauna to ice bath. That's why they end on ice bath. I can see that now. Because when you jump in the sauna, jump in the ice bath, that's pretty easy. And then you jump back in the sauna, jump back in the ice bath. When you end on that ice bath, that's pretty terrible. you're pretty cold. I mean, I've done hot shower to ice bath before just to see it. I mean, I guess it's kind of the same effect. But
oh, yeah.
I'm not a fan of it. Even if I had a sauna, I wouldn't be a fan of it. I just like getting super cold or super hot. I don't like that. I don't think I benefit anything jumping back and forth.
Oh, really?
Not at all.
Well, like there's science behind there's studies done to where cold baths are great because obviously if you submerge yourself in cold, it's going to handle your inflammation, like crazy. I mean, you're icing your entire body. It's going to handle inflammation. But there's also studies done that if you lift for size and lift for like actual muscle gain, to wait to do cold baths because you shouldn't do a cold bath right after that because the inflammation is actually good for your muscles.
Andrew Huberman explains that the best.
Yeah,
on there. I've listened to quite a few of his.
He said
podcasts.
actually the sauna is better for you after you lift than the ice bath, which makes 100% sense because
you get cardio out of it too.
Yeah,
spiking your heart rate.
Oh yeah, and plus like whenever obviously like inflammation like is obviously handled better. You're not trying to reduce inflammation whenever you're gaining muscle. You're actually trying to induce it. So just getting like your body warm and be able to get like natural blood flow in. Yeah, it's going to help with the inflammation, but it's not going to reduce it. It's actually just going to let your body.
Yeah. So the first year I've been ice bathing on and off for over a year now.
Yeah.
I was doing it after I lifted every time. For recovery purposes, I was getting strong, but I actually wasn't gaining size. I was actually shrinking in a way. So I started, when I flipped it to the morning, because I listened to Huberman and a few other people on the science of not doing it for the inflammation, which I didn't really understand until I did some more research on it. Doing it this way, I've gotten way bigger and recovered way faster. I've noticed a huge difference in that, and just the mental clarity. I do it mainly for the mental fuck you. To be honest, just so everybody's aware, I do it just because I like shit that's retardedly hard. I don't know why. I just I track to it now. So it's that to me is like I was getting weak. So it's like, okay, we're going to do stuff we don't want to do. We don't like treadmill, we're going to do that, and then we're going to get in that ice bath. We don't like that either.
Well, there's a mental state that you're ahead of everybody at that point because, like, you have people you go into work and they're like, oh, I haven't had my coffee yet. Oh, I didn't sleep good last night, blah, blah, blah. And you had gotten up, did an ice bath, let your body warm up naturally, probably made breakfast and then went to work. So, like, or whatever, I don't know, your schedule or whatever. But it's like, that's a good mental thing that you have above everybody else. Like, okay, like, I'm starting ahead of everybody. Yeah. Like, I'm starting at this. Like, I'm starting at probably the worst part of my day. Yeah. And then for the rest of the day, you can just cruise.
Yeah, I think, I take things to the extremes, whether it be running, lifting, whatever. I like to maximize things.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, I can't just do 6 cents bench press. I'll end up doing 12 cents because I felt that's what I needed to do that day. And everybody's like, well, you're not gaining. I'm like, that's not really for gaining in me at some point. It's just that I like that mental, can I do that, you know? And it helps build with the endurance a little bit too, but just more for me. But that stuff, man, like I tell everybody, that you don't have to ice bath, you don't have to run. Just pick something small that you don't like, because that's how I've started to break things back down like I used to. It's like I got away from that because I was looking at things at big chunks and it would freak me out. But now I just break it down. I'm like, oh, okay, we're just gonna do this. So when I wake up in the morning, I don't want to do any of this. I say, we're just going to go down and walk. And I always, my treadmill has a 3-minute warm-up before it'll actually let you run. You can skip it, but it always asks you to do that first. So I'll do that. I'll go down and walk for 3 minutes. By the time my 3 minutes is up, I'm ready to run. I haven't ate, haven't drank. I don't do anything. I literally get out of bed, halftime in my boxers, walk downstairs, jump right on that treadmill, and just go or whatever. And then once I get done, I'm like, oh, okay, it feels pretty good. Then I'm like, okay, I gotta get in that ice bath. So I'll walk upstairs. I try not. I tell everybody when it comes to ice bath, you don't want to think about it. Just go up, put on a robe if you don't want to be cold walking outside, and just walk out and sit down. Because if you think about it, you'll just be like, I'm not doing that. Because this morning was one of those days where I was like, I don't want to do this, and I was like, I don't want to do any of the above, and I was like, we're gonna do all the above. we're gonna do an extra mile because you questioned yourself.
Mark Bell. Shout out to the Power Project. If you guys are looking for a good lifting podcast, it's another good one is Mark Bell's Power Project. But he had a episode that was labeled "How to Do Your Actual Goals for 2023," and he said something that I thought was really interesting. He said, if you have a goal for 2023, he's like, it's a very simple thing to do. He was like, do it for 100 days. He's like, you want to make a habit out of it. He was like, do something for 100 days. Doesn't matter what it is. He's like, but just do something that you're not used to doing for 100 days. He goes, and then it's a habit. He was like, because once 100 days is up, you're just not going to quit. That's what I've been doing, because like as soon as I heard that, I was like, well, there's a couple things in my life I really need to get a hold of. One, I've been waking up late for work like crazy. I mean, I'm always on time, but like I'm fucking like I make my breakfast every morning. So like I get up, as soon as I get up, I put on my clothes, rub my deodorant on, go to the skillet, turn the skillet on. As it's warming up, I'm putting my boots on and letting my dog out. I've had it down to science, but like one morning I just couldn't get back to sleep, so I was like, well, I'll just get up. It was 20 minutes earlier. Oh, I drank myself a cup of coffee. I sat back. I'm like, all right. I was like, from here on out, for the next 100 days, I'm going to wake up 20 minutes earlier. It's just like that little thing like that I'm really not used to. So I'm going to start doing. And it's going to make my day better. Another thing, every single day, I'm going to do whatever dishes I have in my fucking thing. Like, this has nothing to do with lifting, but
those tasks build
build character. Because Ashley would come over to my house. I'd have I hate doing dishes. I don't have a dishwasher.
I got a dish fetish.
If
we're married, I'd be doing your dishes because I hate dishes, man. I don't use dishwashers. I wash them all by hand as soon as I do them.
See, like, every time. Oh, I can't do it, man. Cause my last meal at night is like at 10 o'clock, right before I go to bed. I eat a bowl of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I want some nice slow digestive carbs. I'm trying to gain weight, so I want some nice slow digestive carbs. Eat a bowl of cereal before I go to bed.
Sleep on that,
dude.
Ooh.
Oh, like a baby, dude.
It's because you went an insulin shock.
Probably. I have been eating more sugar here recently, but I'm trying to gain weight. But like doing something that you don't like doing for 100 days straight, that's going to get you ready for a lot of things. But like it's going to carry on to other things that you do in your life. I'm not necessarily saying going to the gym 100 days in a fucking row.
That's right.
But if you do, I mean, you'll be in really good fucking shape.
A great task. There's always that Navy SEAL video of the guy in his dress whites, and he's talking about if you want to be successful, the first thing you should do in the morning is make your bed. 100% right. First thing they teach you in the military when I was in the Marines. Yep, always. I get up every morning. The first thing I do, even before I get on that treadmill, I should rephrase that, is I make that bed every day. And that was a habit I picked up. My mom and dad always made us do it, but even more when I was in the military because it was expected of you. But that is the first thing that I can't think of that guy's name. It's a very pronounced. I have it posted on my Instagram like 20 times because I like it. But that's the first thing he says is make your bed in the morning. I tell people if you want to start somewhere, it's do that, do your dishes, and do your laundry. Don't let those three things build up, because what happens is the clutter of you trying to get through your house stresses you out.
Oh,
and then
for
when
sure.
you're stressed out at work. You're stressed out at the gym. When you come to my house being a bachelor, even when I sold my last house, people come over and they're like, somebody lives here? My house is spotless all the time. And it's natural for me now, but I don't have stress when I'm at home. I'm like, hey, where's my watch? Oh, it's over there. Hey, my keys are over there. I'm not looking for anything. You open my closet up, everything's folded, put away. But I'm eliminating the stress out of all of those things. So when I go to run, I enjoy it. And I'm not thinking about, I got to do laundry when I get home. Or when I want to go to the gym, I got to go home and do dishes because I don't have any more shakers for tomorrow. It's those little dinky habits that people overlook will make you better than you realize. And I've learned that, and that's one reason I'm resetting myself back to the basics, because I was getting way too complex. And I've noticed that the last 3 weeks, after I did a little 40-day break, after the last 3 weeks of just starting back real small, nice little easy step into this to make sure I was healed up in that I was making sure my bed was made, my dishes were done, my car was clean, all my emails were done before I went to sleep for work. You know, just those little tasks made me stronger in the gym. And I questioned that every time I was doing it, but I come in the gym, I didn't have no stress. I haven't squatted 345 in weeks. Threw the weight on there, went up and down, no problem. But I swear it was because the stress was eliminated.
Oh, yeah, it's 100% true, because if you can take care of yourself, for one, I mean, you're going to be a better lifter. I mean, in any way, shape, or form. Like, if you do mobility every night, it's not going to be the same as if you do your dishes. But I mean, like, this checklist that you have every single day, if you can leave, like, if you can go to bed every single night and all of your shit's done, you're going to bed. Like, you are snoozing.
Yep.
But when you go to bed, and like you said, like, whenever I had those 2 weeks, because obviously I told everybody the podcast for 2 weeks I didn't do it because I was working 130. You're working a lot of hours now too, but like I was working 130 hours, fucking everywhere in the state, and I lost like 8 pounds. Like the biggest thing that I was thinking about the entire time is, like, one, I wasn't lifting, but two, I'm like I get home, I'm like, fuck, like my house is a mess.
Yep.
My house is a wreck, and I have no energy to do it or whatsoever. But when I had my first day off, I fucking cleaned my entire house, and I'm telling you what, ever since that moment, I've came into the gym, and I told Ashley, I was like, I feel like I'm firing now. Like, I feel like I'm back and used to my regular shit.
So my normal routine is, even in the summertime, it can be worse if you got a big yard and stuff you got to take care of, is I make sure before I come to lift, go to my basement to lift, or go run, that everything's organized. So like tomorrow, that I'll wake up, I'll do my morning routine, then the next thing I'll do right behind that is I'll sweep, dust, mop, make sure that's done. Then I'm good for a whole week again, and I just eliminate those things, those little stressors. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, that if you just eliminate those little tasks, and you don't got to do them all in one day. I've got mine down to, like, I used to write them down, but now it's just routine. It's like, I'm going to do this day, this day. And if you come to the freaking gym, you'll know what laundry is. You got it backed up for months.
Yeah.
You go through 3 times the amount of clothes you do in the summertime.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So, I try to make sure I get all that stuff done. But you're right, though. If you just have those little stressors removed from your life.
Oh, you feel 2 times better.
You have nothing to worry about. Because that's why I'm a firm believer of not touching your phone in the gym too. Because when you open up Instagram or you look at it, like before I got in this podcast, I opened up my work phone and I saw 10 text messages I missed in the 3 minutes I was coming up the road, and I was like, I'm not looking at those because I'll be thinking about those
during the podcast.
Yeah. And I don't want to think about that stuff. And I think that if I ever had a gym, or if you're at the gym, I think it's kind of rude in a way. I didn't understand the filming thing till recently. I've been filming myself because it's not for likes and PRs, it's for my depth. Because I seen what you guys were doing, and I applied that to myself. Because my form, I couldn't see it when I didn't have nobody, so I was like,
couldn't sit.
Yeah. I was leaning too far forward, leaning not far enough back, and I lift solo most times. So I was like, I understand the filming thing now. I didn't before. I was like, I don't understand why we're doing this, but now I do get it.
It's a good checkup, because a lot of times where I'll be squatting and I'll feel myself, my hips come up before my chest do. It happens for me a lot. That's
me too.
It's just my regular form. Yep. I've learned to deal with it as much as I can, but you can't limit it. You unfortunately can't eliminate it 100%. But I'll record myself, and I'll go back and I'll look at the recording. Obviously, I post it on Instagram.
Me too.
I blog.
Post it.
Yeah, we blog our entire things. But and that's just for general information, obviously. But but when I go back and look, like, sometimes these times where, like, my hips are dropping and my chest, I feel like my chest is going down, it's not too bad. So, like, I will overthink that when I'm squatting. When I go back and I look at my video, I'm just like, well, I just need to do what I'm doing. Because, I overthink so much. Yep. But when I go back and look at my videos, and I can see that I don't need as much critiquing as I thought. That makes me feel 10 times better.
That's why I did it just a few times now, and I was like, oh, I see, because it's just those little things, those little adjustments keep you from throwing your back out, keep you from tweaking your neck. There's 1,000 things that everybody that lifts has fought off, But I understand why we do it now, though. I didn't before. I was like, I don't really know what we're looking for here, but now I do. So I mean, just all that little stuff put together, I think makes you a good person, and being able to listen to people. You guys taught me a lot, man. Like I watch what everybody does in there, even from the new guy to the old guy. I'm like that observant old weirdo, as I tell myself. I'm like, man, you're staring at those people, but it's like I kind of want to see what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because sometimes I'm not doing stuff exactly right. Like I've always been doing cable crossovers wrong for the last 2 years now, until I decided to ask somebody yesterday, and I was like, oh, now I know how to do those.
Oh yeah, dude. If I see somebody in there and that squats more than me, I stare at them.
Yeah,
I want to see everything they're doing, because like. And that's also the thing, like the predator and the prey, like if somebody's better than you at something, like focus on them, because that person is doing something better than you are.
Yep.
And you can always learn more. And I always talk to people who are doing more than me. I saw this. There was this lady in here, some black lady. She was deadlifting 315 for reps, and she was probably like 160 pounds. But for a woman, 315 for reps.
That's a lot of weight.
And I'm talking, and she was doing sumo, and she went from sumo. Stood up, relaxed, did it for like 4 reps. Went to conventional, 3-4 reps. I gave her a high five, and I was like, listen, like, that's fucking fantastic.
Yep.
And she pretty much agreed with me. She was like, I'll compete. And I was like, oh, fuck, I compete too. But like, I would have never known that if I went up to her, saw her doing what she was doing, and then been like, hey, like, what you're doing is fucking fantastic. Because like, you're lifting some heavy ass. We were more than fucking half the people in there. But like, you have to engage with people. Like, you can learn as much stuff as you want from the internet. You can learn as much stuff that you want from this podcast or any podcast you listen to on YouTube, whatever. But if you can go to the real thing and ask a real person what they are doing and what works for them, that is 10 times better than anything you can find on the internet, in my personal opinion. Because I would rather trust...
Exactly.
I'd rather trust somebody like Marcus or somebody like you, somebody like Devin. Well, not Devin pisses me off sometimes. I hope you're watching this, Devin. Nate.
Get back in the gym, Devin.
Get back in the fucking gym.
Stop drinking those Busch Lights
Stop
and hang
drinking
out with that girl.
Fucking beer, dude.
That's right.
You look gross with that belly. Get back into your shape. He went from deadlifting 3.8 times his weight to drinking 3.8 times his weight.
he definitely is enjoying himself. Hey, man, to each their own, though.
I love you, Devin, but fuck. But anyways, I would rather get their input on stuff and then I'll go to YouTube and I'll look up stuff, but I'd rather go to the person that I trust the most and then ask them, hey, I have this problem. Like, we both have fucking hip problems, and we both talk to each other about our hip problems.
Yeah, that's right.
100%. But I've had hip problems today.
Gotta do those 90-90s, man.
I do them.
You do the 90-90 and then rock up on one leg?
I didn't rock up on one leg.
If you get better, the better you get at those, the easier those hips work. I do them every day.
Mine was like my left glute wasn't firing today. That was the biggest part. And I was doing,
But you're probably right leg dominant, though.
I'm 100% right leg dominant.
Yeah, it's me too, because that's why your left one's like that. Squat University. I watched everything he has. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but,
Yeah.
I do watch.
Oh, he's smart. He's 100% smart. But a lot of people think because it's Squat University, he's like.
It's just there's a lot of it on there. It's like, well, that's not gonna fix my problem. But okay,
But there is stuff that fix my problem. I had my adductor issues that were bothering me really bad, and I went to I was looking online, trying to look for stretches, trying to look for whatever, because I would be able to squat heavy one day, and then for the next 2 days, I couldn't squat down to save my life because my adductors were going to tear in half or pull or something. But Squat University's stretch form I found on YouTube I think it's actually a hip mobility drill, but I can get a good stretch my adductors with it, and it fixed me my adductors almost completely.
That kettlebell one where you hold.
That's the one I was talking about. Yeah.
You put your one leg this way and one leg that way. I was just showing my buddy Donald he has trouble. Every runner has trouble with their hips. Every runner. It's just because they get so tight. And I've learned that this last year, you really, really got to stretch those out.
Oh, yeah.
And what we're referring to as stretching is it's active movements. All these are movements and back. You're not holding these poses and you're not pushing them into pain. Adductors, inner thighs, do not push through pain. I pushed too hard and tore one that way. Bad choice.
Oh, an actual tear?
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
It was sore for so long. Because I thought the harder you push, like a quad, you can push pretty hard. But, like, these little
Not right
muscles,
here.
you can't.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Well, what these do, what your adductors do when you squat is, like, a lot of people, when they push off their legs, they'll bring their knees in. So, like, because their adductors are squeezed them. That's the only reason. But, like, me, I don't bring my legs in, but still, for some reason, I still get the adductor. It might be my depth, because I do squat heavy for pretty low. So, it might be my depth. But, yeah, Squat University, man, they helped me out on that. And I also, like, when it comes to hips, like, I went to the chiropractor one time because my hips and my lower back were really messing with me.
Yeah.
And he said most of it's in your glutes. He said a lot of this time. Yeah, he said a lot.
Weak glutes.
Yeah, well, it could be.
I do for sure.
It could be anything.
I've been working on them.
Like, and I'm glad I went to the chiropractor because he told me something that I never really thought of. You good?
No, I'm good. It was just something in my head there for a second. I was like, what?
But he told me something that I've been using a lot. But he said a lot of the times when you have pain in an area, it's not the area that you need to fix.
Exactly.
Like, I have left knee pain right now and left hip pain, but I already know it's my left glute that's not firing
Not
right.
working right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's what I'm going to work on. But, like,
I just saw some random guy running over here.
Oh, yeah. You want to fucking
I was making sure
fight,
I
dog?
was going to run over and steal my truck because it's sitting there running.
Hey.
Well, he's clearly. That's my truck.
He might be looking for somebody.
No. Yeah, sure. Not trying to be judgmental.
We're just going to
They just randomly, my truck sitting there running.
do a little lock.
Yeah.
That's my truck, he said. Oh.
Yeah, definitely. I think that guy might be going to steal my truck there.
Maybe.
Whatever.
Which is a questionable move because your lights are on.
He probably saw me get out of it.
Maybe.
And I was like,
maybe.
Well, go for it, buddy.
Go for it, buddy. It's 2 versus 1, dog.
Yeah.
But
anyway, back to that. So, yeah, I feel you. The Squat University has some good stuff, man. You got my glutes. I think all men don't do enough glute exercises.
Yeah, we talked about this last time you were on. But it's a problem. It's a really big chain because, like I said, like there's a lot of things that are connected to a lot of things. Like a lot of things could get hurt.
Yeah.
Like I said, your glutes, your posterior chain, anything like that. If you're not working them, like if you don't use it, you lose it, obviously. But like if you're not working them, like good riddance because you're not going to last long.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Donald was just over at my house this last week, and I was showing him some stuff that I use to fix my knees and my hips and squat techniques, like don't let your knees bow in and use one of those bands until you get strong. Because I do a lot of my squats at home with a booty band around my knees and force my hips to stay open. That way you wouldn't cave your knees in. Just little form techniques that made me stronger,
Well, when you're pushing out, obviously, like your glutes are activating too, so it's a really good way to get the mental aspect and clarity that how to get your glutes to activate. Is that going to come around again?
Nah, he's over on his phone. I was just making sure he wasn't like sneaking up and going to steal my truck.
He's looking at another white truck. I don't know.
He might be looking for somebody. We'll quit worrying about it. Quit looking out the back window. So. But,
well, you don't want somebody running around who's gonna fucking kill us.
Nah, that's a good point. This day and age, you don't know anymore. I don't think we got to worry about this guy over here driving the semi is probably going to back over or kill someone.
He's having some trouble.
He's having some real bad problems at the moment.
This is why I like having it in my car because you get
a little bit
random shit happens. Yeah,
that's right.
You don't know what goes in a parking lot for the next hour. So you say you're gonna take this year off, okay?
I don't know exactly what I'm going to do.
Oh, okay, that's why I was going to ask you if you had any goals.
I think I'm going to take a little step back.
For running? Or lifting in general?
I've been doing some running, but it's minimalized. I got some physique goals I want to do. I don't know if I want to do a show. Brandon's been pushing me to do it.
That'd be
that's
sick.
Super out of my comfort zone. Being in front of people like that. And my first goal is I want to make sure I can line my diet out on my own. As in, like, I eat consistently clean for 30 days because I will not pay for a coach and then be, like, lying to him. So,
prove it to yourself first.
That's right. I want to make sure 30, 40 days of good, clean eating, handle that myself.
It's really smart.
And then I'll make a decision or I'll know if I'm pretty well healed up where I can handle the workload of a coach pushing you that hard. That might be a good goal. I got some short distance running goals, 5K, 10K stuff I'd like to do.
Just speed kind of thing.
Yeah, I've been in the 18s on a 5K, but I'd like to be in the 17s one time.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to be there at almost 200 pounds just to say you can do that.
Yeah. Well, like I said, well, not like I said, but that's why I was thinking. I was like, you're 190 pounds running ultra marathons. Like, so like, do you not like running lighter? Or just like being comfortable with your body weight?
I've always said since I started this is I will sacrifice speed and endurance for looks.
Yeah.
I'm just that conceited. People can say what they want. Call it like it is. I'm honest. I don't want to be that skinny runner guy.
Nobody does.
That doesn't have any muscle.
Yeah.
You know, but I can carry it. You just got to learn how to condition yourself for it. That's why you see me doing a lot of HIIT training. I conditions my heart for that. For carrying that muscle around. Donald says it the best. When we were on the race, we do this. I showed him the squat stretch, right? You get behind him just basically like you're squatting, and then you just lean into the other person and go down. It stretches your quads while you're running.
Oh, okay.
Well, you stop, but you'll do that, and that's a real good like loosen
low
up.
release.
Yeah, and your hips kind of release out. Well, he was doing it for me, and he goes, man, I did not realize how solid and heavy you are till you're leaning back on me. He was like, that is...
You're a solid runner, dude.
And he's like, that's pretty incredible. But I want to look good. I want to be that all-around athlete. I want to look good, be able to bench heavy, squat heavy, deadlift heavy, and still run long distance and fast. You know?
Yeah.
So there's a happy median there. I'm still to this day working on that. You know, what is that? So I'm a little too heavy now. I'm close to 200. I want to get back down to 190 range or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Now a little bit. I've enjoyed my eating here over the last 40 days. So
that's holidays, dude. I mean,
I don't even use it as a holiday excuse.
I do.
Real lazy because when you come off of a big powerlifting competition, race.
For 2 weeks, I don't give a fuck about what I eat.
You're kind of on a high, and then you go into like a little bit of a depression because I listen to this Chris Bumstead video every morning now. And it starts out, he says, I'm going to screw this up, but I'm going to try it anyway. But a true athlete, you know, goes through hell, hits the top, and then goes back into hell.
That's sick.
And that is set with me every day. Every day I think about that, I'm like, man, that's a fact. If you're dedicated, you're going to go through hell to get to the top, but you're going to go back through hell to stay on the top.
Yeah.
And that is a fact. I listened to that. I screwed it all up. So I'm sure somebody out there from Moversity is going to be like, son of a bitch, screwed it up. Whatever. But you get what I'm saying, man. You put yourself through hell every day, you know, and then when you do accomplish a goal, you kind of hit like a low because you don't know where to go when reality you just got to go back to the beginning. You know? And I kind of hit that with this. I hit all my running goals real quick there over the last couple years, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, so I took a little time to heal, a little time to think, and now I think I need to do something that's a little scary, you know.
Yeah.
And that might be a show, or that might be putting myself back out there into those smaller, faster races.
Well, that's really cool, though. Like,
know.
it's cool to, now that you have gotten complacent, like, well, not really complacent, but
I've gotten super complacent.
You gotten complacent?
Super complacent.
Okay, well,
that's why I'm switching gyms. That's why I'm changing it all this year, man, because I've gotten real complacent and real comfortable, and I don't like that. I liked when I walked in here and no one knew me and I just was like scared, and I was like, I like that. And I don't like that, but I do like that because I know it makes me mentally clarity, and then if I can push through that, I'll be better on the other side.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, putting yourself in those positions is where it needs to be. It's a big jump for me to put myself out there like on a stage in front of people, though. That's a different game. Mm-hmm. So. But it always has been a goal a little bit, you know. I'm going to be 40 soon, so do or die at this point.
Hell yeah, dude. So. But I know what you mean by, like, the after the competition. Because, like, I don't know how it is for, obviously, running. But, like, in powerlifting, like, obviously, like, you train, you peak. But you go from these really, you know, moderately heavy sets. You go through hypertrophy training, so you got to do multiple sets, multiple reps of this moderate weight, and then you slowly acclimate yourself to where you start hitting singles again, then you compete. Well, that slow inclination of only hitting singles lasts about 2 months. So then you have 2 months of hitting, like, you know, like low numbers, sets of 5, sets of 3, you know, only for 3 or 4 sets. And then after your competition, now that you're, you know, conditioned for a single rep, Now you're like, fuck, I have to go back and do
All
the
over
8
again.
sets of
Yep.
4, the 8 sets of 6, the 6 sets of 8, whatever you're doing, the hypertrophy training. But like, every single time when I redo that, I fucking hate it. I'm like, come on. I'm like, why can't I just keep doing singles? But like you said, you just get that 2 weeks where you're just like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, I don't even know. I don't.
Yeah.
I hate resetting. I want to fucking do it. But if it works, it works. You got to keep doing it.
Yeah, you gotta. I got this tattoo on my side that said man, my brain is shot today. To grow, you must suffer. It's a huge Goggins line. It's stuck with me forever. And, you really do. You got to go back to the basics. You got to get very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't like to run, you got to run. If you don't like to swim, you got to swim. If you don't like to deadlift, you got to deadlift. Those things that you do that you don't want to do are the most important.
Yes.
If you do things that you like all the time, you get really, really soft.
Oh, for sure.
And then when you get put in a tough environment, you fail. And I think that's where I've seen you over the last year to 2 years now, where you've been lifting solo, no Nate, no Devin, no nobody, that you become very, very hard. Because you're just
Shit
like,
clicks, dude.
because you're just like, hey man, I got to go up and I got to go down, and no one's here to push me or no one's here to spot me.
Yeah.
And that makes a difference. You put yourself out of that comfort zone, because you could have went to the other gym or you could have waited on somebody to be here with you, but you chose to take the hard route and be like, well, I ain't got no spotters, I ain't got no safety bars, we're just going to try it, and if not, we're just going to be sitting on the floor.
Yeah, well, that was something that it just clicked in my head one day. I was doing 455. This was like a year. That's like you said, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, and I had to hit 455 for 5, well, 450 for 5, and I was super confident in myself, but I was like scattering the gym looking for 3 people that I thought I was comfortable with spotting me, and I was doing it. I was confident in this set, but I was running around. I was like, fuck. I looked at Ashley, I was like, fuck. I was like, I can't find anybody to spot me. I was like, I don't want to do this like without a spotter or whatever. But then like it just clicked to me. I have my favorite song on. I have like I'm trying to get 3 people who I know I'm comfortable with to spot me. And all of a sudden it hit me. I was just like, why the fuck I need this? I was like, why the fuck do I need this just to squat this weight? So once I got off of that, as soon as I told Ashley, I was like, I'm hitting this, no spotter, no music, no nothing. Like, I gotta get this by myself. And I did it. But as soon as I did that, I was like, this right here, I was like, proves that, like, whether you're uncomfortable or not, like, well, I don't know where I'm trying to get at, but
You just gotta put yourself out there and try.
you do.
Same thing, man. I was over there.
Sometimes you make jumps to prove to yourself that you can do that shit.
I was benching 250 real smooth. Luke walked in, hadn't seen him in a long time. I was like, hey man, I'm gonna do 270. Should be all right. 2 reps, man. Fail first time around or whatever. It was a mental fatigue is all it was.
Yeah.
Because coming the next week, threw 270 on there, repped it for 4. No trouble. It's just the thought of me having a spotter means my mind's like, we don't have to try as hard.
Oh yeah,
Because
it happens a
you got someone
lot.
to pull it, but if you don't have anyone to help you pick up or put down, you're on a whole level. And I think in that powerlifting world, if you can lift like that, I think you're better. Because you don't have the hype train. And then in the day of the competition, you have the hype train.
Yeah.
So you're on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your friends watching, you got your buddies there cheering you on your team with you or whatever. Because when I went to the first one I've ever been to was when you guys were up in Fairmont with Trey.
Yeah.
And I seen how that whole thing worked. I would train solo. And then the day of the show, you would just be on top of the world because you got all that crowd support, because that does help, no different than running a race. When you come by a big crowd of people, you get a little pumped up.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
It only lasts for a little bit of time, but that little bit of push helps.
It's nice to know it's there, but you never need it.
That's right.
Well, you never should need it. But yeah, you're right, because like I love going to a powerlifting meet. I'm getting ready for a big squat, and like obviously like it's not a giant crowd, smaller crowd. People sitting in front of me. They're watching, probably the 40th squat attempt they've seen today. Yeah. Everybody's just watching with their eyes now, not their mind. So I always fucking like to get up there. If it's my 3rd attempt, I'm fucking waving my hands up. I'm like, come on, baby. I'm like, 3rd attempts. Like, let's fucking go. Because like you said, I train without that shit all the time. So when I have it, it's like
a rush.
cocaine, man.
Yep.
It'll hit you hard.
Yeah, I think all aspects of any kind of training. I mean, it's just no different than an MMA fighter, for instance. And, you're a big MMA buff like me. Those guys going to do the best are like Khabib. I'm not a Khabib fan, but training in those mountains with no people, no one around.
Everything's been difficult.
Yeah, everything is a challenge, but the day of is easy.
Oh,
because
yeah.
you went through worse than that.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what, when I do hot yoga, that's Brandy, if you're listening. She owns Main Street Fitness. When I do that ice bath, that's the whole thing I think about when I'm in that hot yoga, because 105 degrees for 45 minutes is a long time.
Main Street Fitness, and then Bridgeport here?
Yeah, Bridgeport.
And it's all Main Street, right?
Yep. Brandy Starkey Post does it on Thursdays, and she owns the business, and then Amanda Romano does it on Sundays, and it is hard. And
I don't doubt it, man.
And I recommend that for a lot. If you have mobility issues, it'll help. And 2, it is a challenge. But those ice baths make that easier. Because I think, man, that cold water is way worse than this hot room.
Yeah, it's hot room.
I mean, hot's bad, but cold's worse to me.
Well, it feels like when you go through actual heat, like you can acclimate better to it than you can the cold. Because like I remember I'd be wrestling and we call this the dungeon. So like when I wrestled in high school didn't have a lot of money for a wrestling team. So like there was a small room, probably just about as big. No, it's definitely smaller than a turf room in there, to where you can fit one mat. You can fit one wrestling mat. We had 14 kids wrestling. You can fit one wrestling mat in this small little room. There's no windows, no nothing, just cement walls. Well, when you have 14 guys, we were fucking killers, man.
Yeah.
Like when it was my junior and sophomore year, like the Liberty High School, where we were all fucking killers. So like we would go in for 2.5 hours straight, just beating the fuck out of each other. But it would get to the point where it'd be so hot and so moist that there'd be clouds forming. But it's in the wintertime, so like you go through all that bullshit, and then you walk outside and it's like 20 degrees, and that's the fucking worst part of your day. Because like that fucking 20 degrees cold right there after being hot the entire time, like you get warm and you get acclimated to it, but when you step out of that fucking 20 degrees, whoo, shit, it'll wake your ass up quick.
Yeah, it shakes you right awake, man. But hey, man, anybody listening to this, do something hard. If you got New Year's resolutions, that's great. I'm not a big fan of that word at all, that phrase, any of that. Just do something out of your comfort zone.
Yep.
And that might be walking a mile, walking 10 feet. Hell, it just might be getting a good diet. Just do something that makes you uncomfortable.
Do it for 100 straight days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You'll find more about yourself doing that than you will anything that you listen to or read.
Oh, the self-affirmation that you have doing something that you really didn't want to do is, almost a peak of highness, almost. Because, like, you have this clarity that you did something that you didn't want to do and you did it anyways. That's what I told Ashley all the time. Ashley, she'll agree with me. We both went through a little bit of a phase where we just didn't want to go to the gym. We were like, fuck, we don't, like, my training was lacking because of work and everything else. And she had just gone through a phase where she didn't like going to the gym anymore, and she's changing gyms because she felt, so comfortable she didn't want to go anymore.
Yep.
And she wanted to push herself again, so she's switching gyms. But like, what was I talking about? God, I have lifting brain still.
Yeah,
and it's
me
been
too.
an hour and a half, man. That's a true thing with lifting brain.
That is a true thing. When you stress your nervous system that hard, you cannot think.
No.
Not at all. I agree with that, man. Like,
I'll just be in the middle of a rant, and all of a sudden I'm just like, where the fuck am I going with this?
It's tough. It's tough, man.
But I always tell Ashley, I'm like, the days you don't want to go are the most important days.
Exactly.
And from a competitive aspect, I always see it as, like, I hate not going to the gym because my entire mind, the day I don't go to the gym, what I'm supposed to, is like the next guy who I'm going against. There's somebody out there who I'm going to go against who's going to barely beat me, and it's because of this one fucking day that didn't go. And that's what really pushes me. Going the days you don't want to go are definitely the most important days.
That's why I lift 7 days a week. I feel that.
Didn't know that. Fuck that shit.
7 days a week. But here's the catch to it. I don't lift heavy every day. I come in on Saturdays. Saturdays usually an active recovery. I'll do pull-ups, push-ups, dips, no weighted lunges, just a regular lunge back and forth. It's all about just getting a good sweat on for 30, 45 minutes. I'm pushing out some of that inflammation out of my muscles, and then I go on. I think you should do something like that every day just for that. It puts you at a better mental state, and you feel accomplished that day. Those it's not always a Saturday for me. Some days that day if I'm just tired. Like yesterday, I come in, I knocked out a quick shoulder workout, just did a little bit of farmer's carry with it. Just I wanted to get the blood flowing, but I didn't want to miss a day.
Yeah.
And I'm not against rest days, but I can't take them. If I take a rest day, I am worthless for like 5 days.
Yeah, at least you know yourself like that, though.
Yeah, I have to do something every single day, whether it be running. When you're running, you have to run every day. There's guys that say you only have to run 3 days, 5 days. No, you run every day. Running is mostly done at slower paces anyway, but lifting I feel is the same way. And because that's how I started my process was with lifting, and I feel my best when I lift every day. I stretch every day, run every day. Now I'm back to running every day. I took a little break, but normal me runs. I do all that every day. Yeah, 7 days a week.
Cool shit, man. Hey, well, I learned a lot about running today. I appreciate you coming back out, man.
You got to get out of here.
Well, I don't have to get out of here. I'm just fucking
getting beyond the time cap.
Oh, I don't care. It's whatever. I just go into the conversation I think is starting to go down. But I appreciate you. Follow Travis at travis.yost on Instagram. Has motivational stuff all the time on his stories, and also he has his little ice baths every morning. If you're watching this on YouTube, check out our Spotify or any place that you get your regular podcast. If you're watching on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast, go check out our YouTube on Just Above Average. Look for the logo. And if you like this episode, share it to your story, share it to your Instagram. It's where you usually do your stuff. And see you at the gym. Step up, Just Above Average. Almost forgot. What's the gym song of the week, Travis?
Hey, so I don't have a gym song. I've been off the music kick lately. But what I will tell you is check out Machiavelli Motivations, man. Huge fan. Pick a video, listen to it every day, get yourself hyped up before you go in.
YouTube, right?
Yep, YouTube.
Machiavelli Motivation on YouTube.
They're on Instagram, too. They got short clips on there a lot of times, but full videos, YouTube, man, check them out, dude. You guys will get pumped up if you like that kind of stuff.
Hell yeah, man. All right, well, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. And Travis, got anything to say?
Nope.
All right, see you guys.